What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and on today's video we are going to be doing a shoe comparison. We are looking at the MIZUNO WAVE SKY 5 and comparing it to ASICS GEL-NIMBUS 24. Now these are two remarkably similar daily training, somewhat heavy duty running shoe. There is nothing especially sexy about either of them, and yet both of them are very reliable and they get the job done. We're going to be going over the specs, then I'm going to be telling you about what they're like to run in. And to be honest with you, the specs are fairly similar, but the rides are totally different. So you're going to want to hang out for that. Okay, let's start off with price. The ASICS GEL-NIMBUS 24 rings in at $160 US, and the MIZUNO WAVE SKY 5 is going to set you back $170 US. So right off the bat, the GEL-NIMBUS 24 is $10 cheaper. If we can save a few dollars here and there, I'm definitely on board for that. Next up is weight, and according to ASICS, the GEL-NIMBUS 24 in a men's US size 9 tips the scale at 290 grams or 10.2 ounces. According to MIZUNO, the WAVE SKY 5 tips the scale at 334 grams or 11.8 ounces. So in the sample size, the ASICS GEL-NIMBUS 24 is 44 grams lighter than MIZUNO's WAVE SKY 5. In my men's US size 13, the GEL-NIMBUS 24 tips the scale at 358 grams or 12.6 ounces. The MIZUNO WAVE SKY 5 in men's US size 13 tips the scale at 390 grams or 13.8 ounces. And the observant of you will have noticed that this is only 33 grams heavier than the same size in the GEL-NIMBUS 24, compared with 44 grams heavier in the sample men's US size 9. So relatively speaking, I guess we could say the WAVE SKY 5 is lighter, even though not in absolute terms. The MIZUNO WAVE SKY 5 has an 8mm drop. We have a stack height of 37mm in the heel, 29mm in the forefoot. The ASICS GEL-NIMBUS 24 gets a little complicated with the drop and the stack height because it's different for men and women. But in the men's version of the GEL-NIMBUS 24, we have 26 in the heel, 16 in the forefoot for a 10mm drop. If you were to order the women's version, you will get 28mm in the heel, 15mm in the forefoot for a 13mm drop. Just something to think about if you're going to be buying the GEL-NIMBUS 24, something you do not have to think about with the MIZUNO WAVE SKY 5. Both shoes are true to size, neutral daily trainers. They are made for the roads, but like all daily trainers, you'll be fine taking them on gravel paths, wood chip paths. Probably wouldn't take them up in the mountains. Probably get a bit slippy. The MIZUNO WAVE SKY 5 has a stretch woven upper, which is actually very comfortable. When you put your foot into this shoe, it really feels like you're putting your foot into a slipper. There's plenty of room in the toe box, and we've got minimal overlays. We've got the MIZUNO logo right here on the side, and we've got some overlays around the eyelet chain just to give it a little more strength. The tongue is gusseted. This is a beautifully thin tongue. It provides great coverage. There's no biting of the laces, and it's not too thick. There's nothing worse than an overly thick tongue. Looking at the opening right here, you can see that we have a lot of padding around the heel collar, which again is to be expected on a daily trainer. And of course, like on most daily trainers, the heel counter is very rigid. There is no moving this. There is no pushing it down. When your foot goes in to the WAVE SKY 5, you get a good lockdown. There is no heel slip. Overall, it is a very comfortable shoe. The ASICS GEL-NIMBUS 24 is actually remarkably similar in all the same areas. We have an engineered mesh with very limited overlays consisting of the ASICS logo. We've got the overlays along the eyelet chain just to give it that strength. But now we're talking about the tongue. And this tongue is remarkably pleasing to feel and pull. It's gusseted, so that's always a good thing. And I can't really put my finger on what is so nice about this tongue. It's a little thicker along the top, and then it's kind of like a very thick mesh. It's not really more noticeably thinner than the WAVE SKY 5. It's just got a bit of stretch to it, and I think that's the pleasing part. Again, like most daily trainers and the WAVE SKY 5, we have a lot of padding around the heel collar. Again, it's a very comfortable shoe. The heel counter is super rigid. There's no pushing this down, and that contributes to a wonderful lockdown feeling. There is no heel slip. On both shoes, your foot is kind of locked in like a slipper. It is very comfortable, and ultimately that is what we're looking for with a daily trainer. Now I do have to note that although the WAVE SKY 5 is 32 grams heavier in my size than the GEL-NIMBUS 24, it's not noticeable when I'm wearing them. And I've been comparing these shoes back to back. I'll go out for a mile in one, I'll come home, I'll change the shoes, go out and test the other one. Now the midsoles is where it all happens for running shoes. The ASICS GEL-NIMBUS 24 is using Flight Foam Blast Plus along the bottom, and then right above it, the blue foam on my pair of shoes, that's just regular Flight Foam. Sandwiched between the Flight Foam and the Flight Foam Blast Plus is a layer of gel, and this layer of gel wraps around the heel, and then we have another little splodge of gel right here in the middle. The WAVE SKY 5 has actually done away with the wave plate. The WAVE SKY 4 had the wave plate in, but for this iteration, Mizuno chose to get rid of the wave plate, and instead they've got a combination of 3 foams, which kind of simulates what the wave plate did. My pair of WAVE SKY 5s, this gray foam that you're seeing on the top, that's Euphoric X. That's their standard EVA foam, and then it's running through the middle is a layer of Mizuno's Energy Core, and you can actually get a glimpse of that, this little red window right here in the bottom, little cutout, and that's all you get to see of the inner Z core. Now on the underside of the inner Z core is Mizuno's inner Z foam, and these three foams combined can give a very nice ride. It's a very different ride to the Gel-Nimbus 24. Hold on, we're gonna get to that. Let's quickly move to the outsole. Mizuno is using their X10 outsole rubber. It is very resilient and very hard. Now I have had the Gel-Nimbus 24 for quite a bit longer than I've had the Wave Sky 5, and I have run a little over 200 miles in the Gel-Nimbus 24 and a little under 100 miles in the Wave Sky 5. And I'm going to point out the wear patterns in just a second. ASICS has included their ASICS light rubber on most of the outsole. That's the orange parts that you can see on the bottom of my shoe. We have some exposed midsole here, which after 200 miles is clearly getting very dirty. And then on the heel end of the shoe, we have AHA, which is ASICS high abrasion rubber. And ASICS has included this for the heel strikers among us. So when our heel touches down first, they have that high abrasion rubber to just make the shoes last a little longer. But let's talk about wear patterns, because I've noticed that after 200 miles, I am certainly getting a lot of wear right in the middle of my forefoot on the Gel-Nimbus 24. In fact, right here in the middle where my finger is, it looks like the rubber has worn down to the midsole that's kind of in these flex grooves. So, I don't know. It's a little disappointing for a daily trainer to be wearing down this much after just 200 miles. I do like to think that a daily trainer is going to last at least 400 miles. Switching over to the Mizuno Wave Sky 5, now remember, I've got just under 100 miles at this point. And overall, the outsole rubber is looking very good. I'm seeing a little bit of wear right here on my forefoot, but I am noticing quite a bit of wear on the lateral side of my heel. Now, it's not too much, but the little grooves in the rubber, they have clearly worn away. You know, now I'm touching this outsole rubber, it doesn't seem nearly as hard as I thought it would. Which reminds me, let's talk about the ride, because the rides are remarkably different. And this, I think, is going to be the deciding factor with whether you go with the Gel-Nimbus 24 or the Wave Sky 5. Gel-Nimbus 24 is an extremely plush ride. It is soft. I don't want to say too soft because I generally really like a soft ride for a daily trainer, but let's just say that. It's a very soft ride. On the other hand, the Wave Sky 5 is completely opposite. It is a much firmer ride. But I can't say it's too firm because after my first run, the Wave Sky 5 broke in beautifully. And I've noticed I get a lot more road feel, and the Wave Sky 5, even though it's just a tad heavier, feels a lot more responsive than the Gel-Nimbus 24. And I think ultimately that is the factor that is going to sway you one way or another, whether you go with the Wave Sky 5 or the Gel-Nimbus 24. If you are looking for a super plush, soft ride, and you're willing to give up a little resiliency for that plush ride. And when I say if you're willing to give up a little bit of resiliency, I am only referring to the outsole rubber, which in my opinion seems to be wearing down a little too quickly. The Wave Sky 5, on the other hand, is a much more responsive ride, and I think ultimately it is going to last substantially longer than the Gel-Nimbus 24. But you know what? It's $10 more expensive than the Gel-Nimbus 24. As far as the fit of the shoe, they are remarkably similar. It's very difficult for me to pick a winner of which shoe is more comfortable. The difference really only presents itself when you start running. So guys, let me know in the comments. Would you rather have a shoe that lasts a little longer and is a firmer ride, or would you rather have something that is super plush and wears down just a little quicker? And also, if you don't run in either of these shoes, I want to know what you choose as a daily trainer. I hate to admit it because it's not very like running shoe romantic, but I think the daily trainer is my favorite shoe category. I love the shoes that can just do a little bit of everything. Alright guys, thanks for staying all the way to the end of the video. My name's Matt. This is the ASICS Gel-Nimbus 24. This is the Mizuno Wave Sky 5. Be kind, be happy, run well. See you in a couple of days.